Nine ways to make people like you. Well, we human beings are social beings. That means we need to connect with people and live with people. Now, if you are living with people, you have to be a person who is liked by people. Only then are you living a human life because we are social beings. So, here we have this MILT Human Relations card number 1, which gives us 9 ways to make people like you. The first principle says, don't criticize, condemn, or complain. Well, you might be asking, how can it ever be possible to live without criticizing, condemning, or complaining? Let me ask you a question. If there is a person who is constantly criticizing, condemning, and complaining, would you ever like to be with that person? Certainly not. So, similarly, if you are a person who is constantly criticizing, condemning, and complaining, people are certainly not going to be with you. So, therefore, it's very important to note not to criticize, condemn, or complain. You might say it's not possible at all. Living in a place like this with so much of chaos, we cannot live without criticizing, condemning, and complaining. Well, is this opinion of yours coming out of your experience or out of just an assumption? Well, it is not from your experience. The reason is you don't tell that, yes, I have not criticized and I'm not able to live life. I have tried not to criticize, I'm not able to live life. I've tried not to condemn and complain, it doesn't work at all. It's not so. So give yourself a chance to live a life not to criticize, condemn, or complain. For instance, criticizing is always a malice in what you're saying. You probably can give a feedback, but when you lace it with malice, it is called as criticism. Similarly, condemning and complaining has got an evil intent and a malice. So very important to live a life wherein you can resist yourself from criticizing, condemning, or complaining. I can give you one thing for sure. If you can develop this one quality, you'll have so much of energy to live your life to the extent possible. Instead of criticizing, condemning, and complaining, you can probably be creative, contributive, and constructive in activities. And every time when you do that, you are becoming a better person and people are going to like you. The second principle says, give honest, sincere appreciation. Well, give honest, sincere appreciation. When you appreciate somebody, you found out a good quality in the person and you vocalized it, and that is what is appreciation. When you appreciate somebody, you give that person a platform for growth, because having recognized a good point or a good quality in a person, that person feels recognized and you provide that person a platform for growth, and people grow from the platform of recognition. Give honest, sincere appreciation. Don't flatter. Flattery stinks. Flattery has got an intent. Flattery has got some expectation. Never flatter, but give honest, sincere appreciation. And if you are such a natured person who is appreciative in nature, you will certainly draw people to you and people will certainly like you. Arouse in the other person an eager want. Well, you might have authority over some people and you might be tempted to use your authority. When you use your authority, you will get work done from the people, but unwillingly, because they are under you, subjected to you, so they work. But if you can use motivation, if you can make them want to do what you want them to do, they not only do the work, they do it more willingly, and they do it for the love of the work and the love for you as well. So therefore, arouse in the other person an eager want. Make the person want to do what you want them to do. For example, if a father finds his son on the street corner smoking cigarette, and then he meets him on the dinner table and he tells him, man, I saw you smoking cigarette. The next time I see you smoking the cigarette, I will break your bones for you. Now, do you think this boy is going to quit smoking? No. He might probably change the street corner. So what is the best thing the father can do? Having seen the son smoke, he's pained. And then he meets him on the dinner table and tells him and asks about his development, his sporting activities that he's into, his overall activities that he's into. And then after getting to know all these things, then he tells him, son, I saw you smoking a cigarette. Now, this is not good for you. It's not healthy for you. It is taking away that vital energy which you can use for creative purposes. And now, there is a possibility for that person to quit smoking because the father aroused in the other person an eager want. So, it's very important as a person, if you want to make people like you, make people want to do what you want them to do. Let the heart be involved in wanting what you want them to do. Become genuinely interested in other people. Now, what does it mean? In this rapid world of urbanization and civilization, in this rapid world of technological advancement, we all are running. We all want to make fast buck and we never care for people. That's why it is said in the process of all this development, urbanization and technological development, one disease has crept into people, and that disease is called disease of dehumanization. Now, what does dehumanization mean? Now, if you have a disease, you must have symptoms for it. Now, I'm going to give you some symptoms, give you some examples, and you see whether you have those in you. That means you have the symptom for it. Let's say you're working in an office for about 10 years, and your colleague has also been working for that many years. And then you find one day your colleague comes in late 1 hour to the office and he passes in front of you, and you see your colleague coming in late. And you ask him, what happened? He says, my wife is not well. Oh, is it so? Okay. And then you started to do your work. This is a symptom of dehumanization. You never bothered to ask what happened. What is the problem? Does he need any help? Now, this is what is rehumanizing, because you are able to feel the pain another person feels is what is called as rehumanizing rather than being indifferent and dehumanizing ourselves. You go to a pump fuel station, and then the fuel station you get your vehicle filled with gas, and as you're getting the vehicle filled, you find the person who's filling that vehicle, his hand is badly plastered. And there you saw the plastering. He was trying to difficult to hold the gun. Somehow he filled the vehicle. You paid the money and you came back. This is a symptom. You never bothered to ask him what happened to his fingers. And if you can, for that simple time, short time, can inquire about his health, that is called as rehumanization. Well, you got into an elevator, you got to go to 20 floors, and then as you're going up, you got into the elevator, and then a co-passenger got into the elevator. And then as you're going, you find this person, a fellow passenger in this elevator, has got his hands tied on a sling, fresh plaster, and he's holding it like this, and you're next to him, and then you look up for your floor, and then look up for the floor, look at his hand, and then when your floor comes, you just get away. Now, you never bothered to ask him in that few seconds or few minutes, what happened to your hand? Inquire about his health and tell him, wish him all the best, tell him to take care of his health. This is what is called as rehumanizing. So therefore, become genuinely interested in people because they are people, a fellow human being and fellow passenger on this planet of ours. The next principle says smile. Well, smiling is something which should come naturally. Smiling is not a corporate etiquette. Smiling is not to be practiced. Smile has to come from within you. When there is an inner flowering, inner joy within you, and that is going to be expressed as a smile. For instance, they say, smile adds to your face value. Next time when you see a person eye to eye, the first thing that you must do is smile. When you smile, it communicates. It tells, I like you. I like to befriend you. I like to be in your company. So smile is the first communication we should exchange even before we utter anything or any statement thereafter. The next principle says, remember that a man's name is to him the sweetest and the most important sound in any language. Well, a man's name is the sweetest and the most important sound in any language. The reason is, if a person's name is pronounced rightly, the person likes you a lot because everybody wants their name to be pronounced properly. If there is any distortion in the pronunciation, they feel offended. So, therefore, take time to learn to pronounce people's name. There might be some names which might be very difficult for you. It is very important for you to learn from that person how to pronounce the name, and then when you pronounce the name, and that means when you take so much of interest in a name, that shows you're taking a lot of interest in that person as well. Remember that a man's name is to him the sweetest and the most important sound in any language. Be a good listener, encourage others to talk about themselves. Well, a very, very important quality of a human being to be humane, to be a good listener and encourage others to talk about themselves. Well, when people come to share with you their problems or something that has happened to them, you will not listen to them, you generally hear. Hearing is allowing your sound to hit the eardrum and vibrate. But listening is when your mind is connected to your ears, you tend to listen. So listen and don't merely hear. So when a person is coming to talk about their problem or some situation, it's good for you to listen to them without opinionating, without judging, without having to get prepared to give a solution or an advice. Just listen. And that's a great trait. But generally, what people do is after the person finishes the talking, then you start to tell your problems. Now, the sad thing about that person is that person came to you to tell their problem and now goes back with your problem. Now, what a sad thing. So, therefore, be a good listener. Just listen. Don't even have to give any advice. Just open your heart and with empathy listen. And then you find the moment you're a good listener, certainly people take a liking towards you. Talk in terms of the other man's interest. Having listened to the person, now it's your time to talk. When your time to talk, now don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about all that you have and all that you want to share. Having listened to that person, talk in terms of that person's interest. And then when you spend time listening to people and talking in terms of their interest rather than about yourself, then you will find people see a friend in you and they tend to like you to a great extent. The next principle says make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Well, we are all human beings. Fundamentally, everyone is a human being. We might be different functionally. In status, we might be different, but in essence, we are human beings. But the problem with people is that they equate human dignity with the functional status. They call a person driver, gardener, chokidar, waiter. But remember, even that person who might be functionally low to you, but has got a dignity, has got a human value. You need to recognize that human aspect of the person and make the other person feel important and do it sincerely. Give the respect for the human that is in him, not equating that human quality to a functional status. And then when you do that, you are certainly making the person feel important because everybody has got an invisible sign hanging on their neck which says, please make me feel important. So let's recognize that basic emotional need of people, basic social need of people, and let's make them feel important. So now you got these 9 ways to make people like you. If you can follow these 9 simple principles and if you can live by them, you are becoming a people's person. People love to be in your company. And when more and more people love to be in your company, you are living a life which is befitting human life. So very, very important. Develop traits and qualities where people can like you. And well and truly, you are living your human being with all its human qualities and traits. Thank you.